dia akan menghadapi situasi di mana terpaksa membela diri sendiri, membina keyakinan diri.
Mom is not going to be there to check your food, right?
Yeah.
So the question too is, will he be able to ask for himself?
Because of his neurodiversity, dia balik, dia sampai hampir hafal peta MRT dengan LRT untuk tengok nak pergi macam mana, nak naik macam mana.
As parent, yeah, you had allowed him to take that risk. Banyak kali, even if you ask myself, we underestimate their ability.
Assalamualaikum. Hi everybody. Kita kembali di Kita Family Podcast. Pada hari ini kita akan membuat sesi episod yang ke-63, betul?
Betul.
Ya, 63. Okey. Kita Family Podcast ni seperti kita tahu adalah sebuah podcast yang membincangkan perihal yang berkaitan dengan makna serta kepentingan untuk hidup bermasyarakat. Kita meraihkan masyarakat yang berbilang agama, kaum, kepercayaan, rupa dan juga keupayaan. Dan kita menghargai hidup secara inklusif yang mengambil kira keperluan segenap lapisan masyarakat, terutama bagi mereka yang kurang atau berkelainan keupayaan. Secara umum lah kita suka cakap pasal benda-benda ni kan. So hari ni pun kita akan membincangkan satu topik yang maybe lebih khusus kepada kami bertiga yang ada yang hadir untuk episod yang ke-63 kan. So biar saya sebut dulu, saya Nuri di studio, dan hari ni memang kita cuma ada bertiga di studio, dan Didi dari Kota Kinabalu dan Desri tak dapat bersama-sama dengan kita pada hari ini. Tapi di studio adalah Anit di sebelah kanan saya.
Hello.
Ya, dan sebelah kanan hujung, hai kakak.
Apa khabar?
Ya, okay. So, disebabkan kita bertiga yang ada kat sini hari ini, inilah antara sebab kita memilih topik untuk episod ke-63 yang berkaitan dengan transition lah. Maybe not quite all the way to adulthood, not quite all the way to adulthood, tapi kerana anak-anak kami lah yang kalau nak tengok semua anak-anak KFM ni, our kids are the older ones kan?
Yes. Masuk remaja lah.
Yes, remaja, but this is like older remaja kan?
Yes.
Belum melangkah kepada dewasa lagi.
Belum lagi, tetapi semua
hampir
pada ambang perubahan yang besar. Kita akan mendengar hari ini tentang Joshua yang akan ke universiti,
A-levels dulu, Joshua.
College
dulu kan?
Oh, I'm so excited kita sebut pasal universiti. Itulah rasa macam dia nak pergi jauh tau, tinggalkan
tapi pergi jauh.
Okay.
Betul.
Dia akan meninggalkan rumah dan akan pergi ke UK. Jadi dia yelah, betul-betul jauh lah tu. That's why I think I teringat pasal bab universiti ni ke apa. Sebab I think I tak akan lepaskan anak I sampai tahap pergi universiti kot. That's why I have that in my brain. Minta maaf. Dan Nirav pun sudah baru bermula lah bab college ni. Ada kita sebut juga. Tapi masih mencuba menguruskan dan menghadapi situasi, keadaan baru, cabaran, kehidupan di kampus sebagai seorang penuntut college lah, college boy now kan, compared to daripada waktu dia di sekolah menengah. Satu situasi yang amat berbeza. Okay, dengan tidak melengahkan masa lagi, I think we will start to talk about it. Dan kita hendak mendengar apakah keadaan sekarang di mana pada tahap atau fasa hidup sekarang ni kita mungkin menghadapi dan mementingkan isu-isu berkaitan dengan autonomi and self-advocacy, iaitu bermakna bila seseorang insan sudah bersedia untuk menjalankan kehidupan mungkin dengan lebih berdikari. Ya, dia akan menghadapi situasi di mana terpaksa membela diri sendiri, membina keyakinan diri dengan kebolehan untuk bersuara, untuk memastikan dia mendapat sokongan atau apa-apa keperluan untuk diri sendiri. I mean, of course, kita sebagai ibu bapa dan kita juga mengharapkan komuniti dan juga pengajar dan sebagainya menyokong. Tetapi inilah masanya di mana expectation untuk anak kita dapat melakukan benda-benda seperti ini ataupun kemahiran untuk this kind of thing akan menjadi sesuatu yang penting ya di fasa kehidupan sekarang ni. So, let's hear, ladies, what's going on with your boy? So, kakak, can I start with you?
Of course, because as adik-adik sekalian has been hearing, sebenarnya we've been preparing menyediakan Joshua not only in the last 6 months, because our family memang ada persediaan untuk Joshua pergi A-levels to join abang dia. Aaron memang sudah 2 tahun dia belajar di UK in boarding school. So
sekolah asrama.
Sekolah asrama, ya.
Okay, so Joshua pun akan pergi ke sekolah asrama.
So Joshua pun akan ada peluang. Memang sudah berjaya dapatkan tempat
tawaran ada tempat
dari sebenarnya Brighton College. Yeah?
Okay, it's a really good one.
And that is a credit to Joshua's own academic preparation lah.
Okay.
Tapi sebenarnya our preparation ni bukan dalam 6 bulan saja, bukan dalam setahun saja. Kami memang sudah cuba menyediakan all the organizing skill, the planning skill, the self-care skill. Banyak yang kami harap dapat menyediakan dia untuk bersendirian in a way, not really bersendirian, but actually berdikari without mama, without papa, without kakak yang sedia ada di rumah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that is quite a big transition actually. Yeah.
That's a big transition untuk mana, anak mana-mana pun actually, kalau sebab kita menyebut tentang sepanjang hidup dia duduk kat rumah kan, of course, dengan family.
Semua sedar.
Tiba-tiba dah pergi ke sekolah asrama. Sekolah asrama tu negara lain pula tu.
So
yang berasrama tu memang Joshua dari masa dia kecil. We've been exposing him to camps. Tetapi perasaan buat masa sekarang, because kami sedar yang dia akan jangka masanya bukan seminggu, bukannya sebulan.
Beberapa bulan.
Akan mungkin setahun kan, in a term.
Balik, yes.
Of course, we will be visiting him during the school holidays. A term biasanya ada dalam 3 bulan ke. Tapi bukan sebulan kan, sekarang sudah diperpanjangkan. So preparasinya memang agak panjang juga.
Okay, so persiapan Joshua untuk menghadapi hidup baru ni, dia sendiri ke yang dah lama nak pergi sekolah asrama, ataupun bila dia pernah menyebut bahawa dia nak membuat A-levels dia di sekolah asrama dan di UK?
Okay, ini senang saja kerana kalau abang pergi mana-mana, dia memang sayang abang dia.
So dia pun nak pergi.
He looks up to him.
Hero worships him.
Kan?
Okay.
So it's a very simple, and in a way that is his expectation and our preparation yang dia akan, kalau memang dia sudah berjaya to get the enrollment, so he gets to go. Sebenarnya dia tak pergi sekolah yang sama. Aaron will be going to university.
Okay,
That's
so
why
Aaron is going to university.
Aaron
Okay, maybe
yang
that's why I had on my brain. Sorry.
That's right. So abangnya akan masuk university, tapi abangnya jauh juga. Yeah, it is not in the immediate location. Okay. So in terms of preparation, Nori, yang intensif dalam 6-9 bulan ni actually is dalam kesihatan.
Okay.
I give you 2 actual story lah ceritanya. Joshua has got sinus. Yeah. Dulunya there was no urgency lah. Kalau pagi just blow your nose kan.
Yeah.
But we are aware when he goes to the UK, there's high pollen.
Okay.
Yeah, the environment pun akan bertukar.
Betul.
So dalam 6 bulan ni, a lot of our preparation is actually health focused to prepare him as much as we can support, but he has to be part of that. We mentioned that he had a nose surgery, yeah, and after that he has to do quite a lot of. Kalau you've had nose surgery, you will know you have to flush your nose, you have to take additional medication. So sebenarnya penyediaannya agak intensif.
Okay.
Yeah. And although myself as a professional, I cannot actually imagine, right, this experience beyond theory is actually very intensive.
Okay. So
Fortunately,
sekarang ni bila dah melalui barulah kita tahu.
yeah.
Okay.
Kan, perasaan macam mana penyediaan yang diperlukan. That is just one aspect, yeah.
Okay.
If you remember, kami pernah bincangkan dietnya.
Yes.
So, although sekolah asrama memang akan siapkan makanan-makanan
Yang sesuai untuk
yang
dia.
sesuai, tetapi my mind is going.
Okay.
What will he do when he goes out of the school?
Yep.
Because memang dia akan dapat what we call exit during the weekend kan. Dia dapat keluar off day kan. Mungkin dia akan pergi jumpa abang dia di London. There's no more school. Yeah, the support akan bertukar. Yeah, the scaffold lah, what we use the word. Mom is not going to be there to check your food, right?
Yep.
So the question too is, will he be able to ask for himself?
That's the advocacy part lah.
That is the advocacy part. And I have to say, we've just come back from hampir sebulan traveling to different country. And I'm very proud of Joshua. Memang he is able to, and I want to share this. This is what I want to share. We always say that the restaurant must accommodate to him. I had a very proud moment. Joshua said, "Mom, don't worry. I don't need to eat then. I can eat later," because kami memang ada bawa backup food kan. Brahim, nasi kurma, all the gluten free. So I was so proud that he understood. Dia pun perlu accommodate keadaan yang kami ada to survive kan. He is hungry, but where we went, it wasn't so easy to get the gluten free, dairy free, because in China where we were, a lot of the food had wheat. They didn't have rice as a staple. Interesting kan?
Yeah.
So I learned that the years of preparation is now coming forth, and I was having amazing learning that Joshua has also learned to accommodate.
So kakak ada bekalkan rice cooker tak? Sorry sebab
Ya.
So siapa yang pergi pergi belajar di luar negara,
Yes, puyuh nasi elektrik.
Sama ada and neurodiverse ke typical?
perlu
Mesti
bawa periuk
ada
nasi tu.
periuk nasi.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That is irregardless.
Yes.
Irregardless. Yeah.
Electric rice cooker yang kecil tu je.
Yeah, betul.
Kecil
And
tu.
kalau ada-
Actually boleh masak macam-macam dalam tu tau.
Betul. Biryani boleh masak. Kalau
You're
ada
still talking about nasi. I goreng sayur in my little electric rice cooker, okay?
Wow.
Because it's like a hot plate, right?
You know, I have discovered.
Sorry.
Sebenarnya semasa he's younger, we were very, very, very strict. And we will bring rice cooker to every location.
Okay.
However, as he's grown stronger in his immunity and of course his allergy, we now have discovered there are many pre-packed food. And if you telitikan the ingredient, senang je. You just need to put in microwave.
Ya, betul. Yeah.
So
Instant
actually,
rice pun banyak.
yes. So sebenarnya
Don't need to be Uncle Roger.
No. So preparation for us, we focus on the health because the other independent life skill preparation, that big word kan, whether
Dah bertahun-tahun dah sebenarnya.
dah bertahun-tahun.
Okay. Yeah.
And some of it is now coming to his benefit.
Okay, that's big. Okay, Anit, bila kita dengar kakak sebut pasal benda-benda macam ni, sungguh pun Niraf masih duduk di rumah ketika dia dah mula belajar di college. Tapi ada tak apa-apa yang bila kakak ceritakan benda-benda macam ni, can you relate or you're thinking, oh no, my preparation is very different. Siapan untuk Niraf dan apa-apa kemahiran yang diperlukan oleh Niraf agak berbeza ke macam mana?
Okay, so Niraf berkenaan bab makan dengan health, so far touch wood, dia very easily adjustable. Okay, kalau dia
Why did you touch wood your kepala?
because I there was no wood around. Oh, here. Okay. So yes.
Sorry, I'm very distracted today.
So the health wise memang senang je, and dia as far as that routine is concerned, he is very very much a person who will wake up on his own alarm. He will shower, he will get dressed. The only thing I think yang I tak pernah suruh dia buat or nampak dia buat sendiri adalah setrika baju sendiri. Ironing tu belum. So that part I think if anyone's going abroad, I think kena ajar lah satu kemahiran tu sebab kalau tak masuk masuk dobi pun dalam dryer pun bila keluar masih ada kedut-kedut, tak payah. You really especially in boarding school, right, you need it. So I think that part he hasn't got to, but so far he loves wearing his t-shirts and I think the good thing about college has been that dia tak payah pakai baju yang dia tak selesa. So college has given him that freedom to choose to wear what he likes.
Sebab ada dress code je kan. Dia tak ada uniform dah.
Dia tak ada uniform.
Okay.
So memang kasut pun jenis yang dia suka, apa yang dia suka. So that freedom has been great. Tetapi satu transisi yang saya rasa sangat penting is kebolehan untuk manage your more important documents. Sebab dia perlu, sebab most days dia kena naik public transport. Dan saya kena acknowledge lah yang dia memang cekap naik public transport ni sebab adik dia tolong dia mula-mula. Ikut dia 2-3 kali, ajar dia macam mana nak pergi. Tapi because of his neurodiversity, dia balik, dia sampai hampir hafal peta MRT dengan LRT untuk tengok nak pergi macam mana, nak naik macam mana.
That's great.
Because itu adalah fascination dia.
Okay. Tu memang mungkin tu satu kelebihan lah actually kan.
Bila saya dengar cerita Anik dulu, yang Niraf tu public transport bersendirian, I was so impressed. Yeah. Because I'm impressed on two aspects. Satunya, as parent, you had allowed him to take that risk. Banyak kali, even if you ask myself, we underestimate their ability. So I was very impressed. And the other side, of course, is he is working what it sounds like on his strength. He loves the map And because he is so precise with it, memang dia sampai dari tempat A ke tempat B sangat tepat.
Bukan itu saja. Lepas tu dia dah mula in his own self-determination dengan nak explore sendiri. Dia naik route yang lain-lain.
Wow.
Sebab kadang-kadang dia balik rumah, dia bawa kek. Ada kalanya bawa kacang putih. Ada kalanya bawa minuman yang lain. So bila kita tanya kat mana tu, semua kat stesen LRT yang lain-lain atau MRT. Sebab dia tahu stesen mana ada kek yang sedap. Motivasi dia. Di mana jual kacang putih yang sedap, di mana jual iced tea, boba tea ke apa, semua tu dia dah pandai untuk explore.
Fantastic.
So itu menjadi satu kelebihan dia. Tetapi kami ada risau sebab kadang-kadang dia biasanya dalam sejam dah balik, ni sampai 1.5 jam. And then masa tu tak nak angkat phone. Itu menjadi satu masalah yang besar. Sampai saya pun ada tengking lah. You know, can you be more responsible?
Tengking. Marah tu. Okay.
Marah dan dia akan marah balik. I'm just doing this. I'm just taking a train ride. I want sampai dia boleh naik train sampai ke Bukit Jalil, nak tengok stadium lepas tu balik. Sebab dia dah tengok dalam peta tu. So, itu menjadi satu transisi yang besar. Satu transisi yang lain adalah kad untuk touch and go. Dan sama kami telah eksperimen. Perlukah kami bagi dia IC asal? Sebab kalau hilang tu menjadi satu kesukaran. Kena buat police report untuk dapat ganti.
If you load the my card
If you load the my card. So bila tanya 2-3 kali, dia yang offer. Why don't you give me my laminated IC? Okay, sebab dulu kita fotokopi bagi dia laminated supaya dia ada kad pengenalan dia sebagai satu bukti pengenalan. Tetapi dia chose to get the rapid card.
Okay.
Yang dia telah apply dengan adik dia dengan dapat surat tawaran dari college. So bila ada surat tawaran dari college, dia pergi kepada MyRapid dan dapat student card yang beri konsesi tu. So dia guna untuk keluar masuk daripada
all the station.
Okay.
Satu lagi, bila dia, I think he also took it for granted yang duit dalam kad tu takkan luput. So bila kekurangan tu 1-2 kali dia ada juga stuck. So dia perlu gunakan his creativity and self-advocacy untuk top up, untuk tanya balik. So dia dah pandai cakap, oh my card needs a top up. Can I have 50 ringgit for my top up? So ini menjadi satu rutin yang baru bagi dia. That was the second part of it. But I think what he really struggled with was the lack of routine in college. Sebab ada kelas pagi, lepas tu ada break 2 jam, kelas satu lagi, and then kadang-kadang 2 kelas back to back. Dan transisi tu sangat mencabar sebab di college tak ada siapa yang akan beritahu kalau you tak tanya. So I remember bila dia pergi untuk interview untuk masuk college, the counsellor actually said to him, Nirav, you need to learn to advocate for yourself. That was the end of the interview. That would be the skill. Sebab I tahu dia ni memang dia akan ikut timetable yang betul-betul, tapi location of the classroom. Lepas tu I presume je dia akan masuk kelas, tapi tiba-tiba ada juga dapat email, Nirav dah seminggu tak masuk kelas. So I memang jadi marah lah.
Ini anak yang sama yang tahu macam mana nak menggunakan peta LRT dan MRT untuk pergi mendapatkan tahap apa, jalan ke mana-mana, tapi kalau tengok jadual dia untuk satu kelas ke satu kelas tak sampai pula. Okay, Ned?
So I kept asking him, kenapa tak masuk kelas? Do you know where the class is? Yes. Tapi asyik dia, I pergi sana, class is cancel. I pergi sana, class is cancel. Macam pelik je. Okay, tak apa. Saya kena tolong email kepada cikgu, tanyakan, dia dah hadir dan saya minta bukti. Okay, bila you sampai di kelas tu, tolong ambil gambar, tunjuk saya yang you ada di kelas itu. Okay, and tunjuk the name or the label of the class. Okay, so I ambil gambar tu, I upload, I hantar kepada cikgu. Baru saya tahu yang timetable asal itu ada pertukaran lokasi kelas. Dan sebab dia kurang berkomunikasi dengan orang-orang dan tidak pergi ke office untuk dapat penjelasan, he was going to the wrong class for more than a week and sitting for 10 minutes, tak ada siapa yang datang, okay, class cancel, dia balik.
Alah, kesian dia.
So memang cabaran bila masuk tingkat yang lebih tinggi dalam pembelajaran, that is the challenge of changing frequently, kan? Tapi I think masa dia in the transportation, it is his time and he managed it in his timing.
Oh ya,
kan?
That's true. Itu ikut jangka masa sendirilah, kan? Dia tak ikut jadual orang lain.
Jadi he is in charge. Tapi, and this is sebenarnya, this is a key challenge of many very able individuals bila dia masuk college dan masa dia masuk university. Kerana as you've just described it, not only the schedule akan bertukaran, kadang-kadang lecturer bertukaran,
kadang-kadang cuti MC,
dan kelas pun bertukaran. So you have described a very important example. If I can make a suggestion, is to have a buddy, that always ensure that dia akan sampai kelas, just one person, and this is actually the support when we go to a very open learning situation, and that will be at college and that will be at university.
So adakah ini dianggap sesuatu penyesuaian munasabah, reasonable accommodation?
Of course.
Is that something yang college ni, Raf? Tak tahu lah kalau boleh membantu dia lah. Reasonable accommodation, that means mungkin buddy system ni adalah sesuatu yang college sendiri bantu student baru ataupun student-student macam ni, Raf. Ataupun sekarang ini satu cadangan yang bagus, tapi kalau tak ada sokongan macam tu, maknanya Niraf atau keluarga kena cuba nak usahakan mendapatkan that kawan dia or that kind of buddy, right? So what's this?
It became a bit challenging sebab kelas dia berlain-lain and
different subjects,
different subject dan different students in different subjects as well. So you tak boleh ada satu buddy yang ada jadual yang sama dengan dia.
So kena macam ramai buddies.
Kena ramai buddies. But I think what we decided to do was, at least for that 2 weeks until he got into the routine, it was between me and adik dia. Kita akan call dia sebelum to say, are you ready for the next class?
Wonderful.
Can you are you headed there? And half the times bila dia dah sampai, I'm already here, bye, teachers come in, pop. So that became a routine.
That became your support.
That became your support from afar. But there were days that he didn't answer and we would sit there worrying, dia masuk kelas ke tak hari ni? Tapi college dia ada sistem yang bila balik kita boleh check attendance. So bila ada attendance dia, kita tahu dia masuk kelas. Tapi lepas dia dah selesa, dia mula menunjukkan perangai neurotypical. Kadang-kadang lambat pergi kelas daripada orang yang tak pernah lambat pergi kelas sebab
remaja je lah.
Remaja ada alasan dia sebab masa nak makan dia main game, lepas tu cepat-cepat nak makan, so lambat masuk kelas. So those sort of other things arose. So when I used to complain, I remember all of you saying, that's neurotypical behavior, we're dealing with, you're dealing with that a bit later. So from those sort of transitions, kita ada transisi macam ni.
And this type of time management sebenarnya is one of the key
executive functioning.
so organizing, time management, planning. And it's not just anak-anak kami, as you know, even for kita family recording, I'm very, very lucky because selalunya ada adik-adik ni always remindkan myself, don't forget kakak. Yeah. So actually, it becomes more magnified lah. Amplified for our neurotypical children, whichever age sebenarnya, when there are many changes.
Then the neurodivergent kids struggle a bit more.
And we have to recognize that. That is our awareness kan, because kami memang sudah kenalkan kalau autisma two attribute. They need routine, betul?
Structure.
And routine structure, bila kelas tukar, yeah, that is no longer the routine that is comfortable. So going back to basics, congratulations. Niraf is very, very fortunate. You are so creative. That mum call and
adik call.
Yeah. Adik call. What an amazing support.
So, on the note of tadi kakak baru share dengan kita bahawa dia sendiri rasa kadang-kadang susah juga. Okay, untuk diri sendiri sebagai seorang yang berkelayakan tinggi, memang mak orang, professional, professional, runs own business and all that. Tapi kadang-kadang ada juga benda-benda yang memang masih perlu mungkin orang bantu ingatkan. That's exactly what you said, right?
We spoke about letting go, kan?
No, letting go is one, but I think in your situation, what you are saying is that you appreciate the support. Okay, so because of that,
yes.
What I'd like to do is I want to go on break. But what I want to talk about is that untuk orang yang tak ada permasalahan apa-apa pun, okay, tak ada diagnosis apa-apa, tidak dianggap sebagai seorang OKU, pun dapat merasakan bahawa masih memerlukan bantuan sokongan yang tertentu dari masa ke semasa.
Yes, of course.
So, why am I bringing this up? Okay. It's like we all ask for support, right? And between us, we also ask for accommodation juga. Kita juga meminta penyesuaian yang munasabah sesama kita. So the question is, and this is what we'll talk about after the break, why do we expect our neurodivergent children, mengapa kita masih mengharapkan anak-anak OKU kita belajar juga kemahiran ni supaya dia dapat berdikari? Why do we do that? So let's talk about that after break. Okay, kita kembali ke bahagian 2 episod 63 di mana kita membincangkan topik berkaitan dengan autonomi dan self-advocacy untuk individu-individu neurodivergent. Kalau dalam konteks ni, anak-anak kita lah ya, dah sampai pada satu tahap umur di mana ialah dah besar ataupun dah sampai satu peringkat di mana ada transition dan harapan dan expectation lah. So expectation is a big thing we're going to talk about now in part 2 ni. Adalah untuk meningkatkan kemahiran supaya dapat setiap orang ni, apa yang antara kita dengan definisi agak menarik ialah tentang matlamat untuk advokasi diri ni ialah supaya mereka dapat memperkasakan diri kepada satu tahap di mana dapat hidup lebih berdikari, right? So there's all the things like macam self-determination, iaitu seseorang dapat membuat pilihan sendiri, dia tahu tentang diri dia tahu tentang hak dia, apakah yang diperlukan, terutamanya dari segi sokongan kan. Bukan nak kata benda-benda takkan datang dari keluarga tiba-tiba semuanya akan berhenti, tapi kita perlu juga memahami bahawa dunia di luar persekolahan formal, right, after sekolah menengah, all this, memang berbeza. Dan katalah anak kita dah sampai tahap di mana peluang itu wujud bagi mereka, sudah tentu kita nak memberi peluang tu kan. Ya, dan apakah yang diperlukan. So at the end of part 1, I said that I wanted to talk about this whole concept of what is it that we expect our kids to do, right? Dalam konteks menyebutlah tentang kemahiran-kemahiran ni dan peluang dan harapan untuk fasa kehidupan ni lah. So kita telah mendengar cerita tentang persiapan Joshua yang akan ke luar negara untuk ke sekolah asrama, tahap college lah, ya, A-level sebelum dapat pergi ke universiti. Kita juga mendengar pengalaman Nirav, ya, dah masuk ke dunia college lepas dapat tamat pengajian di sekolah menengah. So we do want to expose our kids. Kita nak beri pengalaman dari segi pendedahan dan peluang ni lah seperti anak-anak yang lain juga. But I think just now bila kakak sebut bahawa dia sendiri, ya, bila kita menyebut tentang kemahiran yang berkaitan dengan kebolehan untuk mengurus diri, seperti time management, seperti organising, right, looking at the schedules and things like that. Kakak sendiri kata, wah, nasib baik ada ramai orang akan ingatkan
ingatkan saya. Saya sendiri.
Ada recording, because kita tak ada hari yang tertentu bagi setiap minggu untuk kita buat rakaman, right? Kita akan membincangkan and then pilih masa yang sesuai for ourselves, for the team, and then that will happen. So when I thought about that, then I'm thinking back to something, rasanya kalau ialah bagi diri Nuri sendiri kan, ini adalah satu perubahan yang agak besar dari segi pendirian Nuri sendiri dan my own thinking about this. And what I mean is, I feel that when Timur was younger, I think we felt that we really needed to teach him, help him have these skills, right? So that he can cope. And also it's a bit like tough love. Okay? Kita nak dia mempunyai kemahiran dan kebolehan untuk menjadi orang yang lebih berdikari lah katanya. Okay? Supaya dapat lebih senang berinteraksi dengan orang. Yelah, hidup dalam masyarakat luas and things like that. But if we really think about it, was that realistic? Okay? Adakah expectation kita terhadap anak neurodivergent? Kalau kita fikirkan untuk orang yang tak ada diagnosis pun, untuk orang yang tak ada permasalahan apa-apa pun, banyak yang meminta bantuan, sokongan, penyesuaian. So over the recent years, yelah, sedangkan kita pun lebih peka, kita pun telah membelajar dengan lebih, tingkat kesedaran diri kita lah masing-masing tentang jenis-jenis neurodivergence, right? So autism sebagai contoh. I just thought about it and I think I made the mistake of expecting too much of my own son. When, let's say if he was typical, he would probably be given accommodations and supports anyway based on preference. Just preference alone. Dunia kita pun dah jadi dunia macam tu. Kalau kita tengok contoh yang sangat mudah, work from home. Work from home ni dah ada pilihan untuk ramai orang dari bermacam-macam industri. Mungkin dulu kita tak terfikirkan sangat, tetapi sudah tentu selepas kita melalui COVID, ini adalah suatu pilihan cara bekerja yang dianggap sangat biasa. It's very normal and it's an option. So if these things are already also happening in the world, and also if you think about simple things lah, okay, kalau seorang individu tu adalah orang yang introvert, maknanya dia tak suka menjadi terlalu social, berinteraksi dengan orang ramai, dan dia akan buat pilihan untuk tak perlulah buat benda-benda macam tu. Kalau dia nak berjumpa orang, mungkin dia akan jumpa 1 atau 2 orang. Dia tak payahlah pergi majlis besar-besar ke apa-apa. Ini pun pilihan dia. So kalau kita fikirkan nanti kehidupan dia, kalau kita memberi autonomi, ya, kebebasan dan peluang untuk seseorang itu membuat keputusan untuk apa yang baik untuk diri dia. So when I sat back and talk about it, kenapa I nak memaksa anak I supaya, dia macam kena cuba mendedahkan diri dia, nak cari pengalaman untuk kononnya seperti anak-anak yang lain. I don't know, I think you can relate, right?
Yeah,
We've talked about it before, because kita rasa macam, kalau kita tak siapkan anak kita ni, nanti apa nak jadi bila dia besar, apa nak jadi bila dia
kita
dah
tak ada.
di luar zaman persekolahan, bila kita dah tak ada and things like that. But I think I did him a real disservice lah. In a way,
I completely resonate, because not just that, Nori dengan I pun ada cuba untuk memaksa. I actually use the word memaksa anak kita.
I'm okay to accept it. Yes.
Memaksa anak kita untuk buat sukan, and sukan berpasukan to encourage the skill of taking turns, untuk hopefully they will be able to fit in, because we all learned when we were growing up that sports unites, and if you can be part of a sport or part of a team, senang sikit. And then
but
you
who
belong.
does, how many people masih terus bersukan lepas dia dah habis zaman persekolahan pun?
Tak ada.
Dia pilih lah sukan yang dia suka kalau ia pun, right? So
and
it's
mungkin
like when I sit back and think about it now, it's so simple. Tapi I think because, I don't know, expectation was it? Is it because kita ni Asian again?
Maybe. I
And
think
even
self-defense.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, there we go.
We tried to teach them self-defense,
Okay.
sebab kita takut. Tapi this morning ada artikel yang anak autistik di India di sekolah berasrama telah pun didera secara seksual. And actually kawan baik saya yang hantar kepada saya, and her first question was, does Nirav know how to defend himself? So bila dia tanyakan macam tu, I fikir balik.
Tapi hello, adakah you akan hantar anak you ke dalam situasi yang sama dengan budak-budak tu?
Tidak.
Which is kepada satu tempat, kononnya satu pusat penjagaan berasrama yang tak berlesen, yang all this. So actually kita ada pilihan. In a way, kita lah.
Yes.
Bukan semua orang akan ada pilihan seperti itu. Tapi kalau kita kata, kita tengok kepada kehidupan kita dan keluarga kita, keadaan kita, ataupun ada antara benda yang dianggap boleh menjadi expectation for a lot of people lah. Bukan disebabkan kerana kita ni we are more privileged, okay? Sebab mempunyai
pilihan yang lebih.
Kelebihan jugalah. I think of course there's privilege, right? Dengan keuangan and things like that. Tapi ada benda-benda yang boleh menjadi pilihan untuk semua. So then it goes back to that. But you were questioning yourself again.
I am, and same thing with music, because dulu I paksa dia buat apa yang dia tak suka. Sekarang I tahu dia suka main drum. Kenapa masa tu I tak fikir bagi dia main drum? Because that is percussion, and doesn't involve keys, doesn't involve maybe like more elaborate neurosenses working at the same time. And the drum is also the beat that he likes, because I realised one of his favourite things to do bila dia balik is lepas dia mandi, dia akan blast music and dia akan menari ataupun bernyanyi secara sendiri, buat action semua tu dalam bilik dia. So kadang-kadang kita juga cakap, it's too loud lah, what will the neighbours think? Tapi kenapa kita perlu ingat what will the neighbours think? Sebab dia hanya blast music seperti anak-anak lain. Sebab there's a lot of people who like music and who do blast music and find it very soothing and comforting.
Yeah, and there's nothing to do with being neurodivergent.
And
Yeah.
but again, you know, that's how
It's
we
like,
think.
jangan buat benda yang tak sepatutnya. Macam
Yeah.
double standard lah
Double
kepada
standard.
anak kita. Double standard kepada anak kita. Kakak, you want to jump in? Maybe you need to give Ani and I some advice.
Not at all. Sebenarnya, I was going to say, we all just behave. We all means we as mothers. We just behave that we want the best for our children. Sebenarnya, if you know, Nori and it, even for me, where we all know Joshua has less support needs in many areas, tapi as a mom, we are naturally and instinctively wanting tingkah laku yang kami harapkan. But I think the saving grace for all of us, if I may say, is to be able then to recognize and readjust.
Well, this is the unlearning, relearning thing, right?
Because I
It's
think
really painful
it is very,
though. And I
very
feel so bad because yang terkesan pun anak kita lah, bukan kita saja kan?
so to all of us, and I am also in similar situation many times. We forget yang tekanan atas anak-anak kami tu memang as a neurodivergent individual, you are already single out kan? You memang sudah diasingkan.
Yes.
What more, the extra pressure for them to perform. This is the harapan. So I'm going to take my positive self, and I'm going to pat all of us, please, if I can reach you and our audience, that is part of our instinctive maternal journey, and it will not change except it can be adjusted. When I say it does not change, as an instinct, my parents who are in their 80s are still protective and looking out for me to say, you don't need to do that. Looking after me. I'm still typical. So what I'm saying is, bila tingkah laku yang diharapkan tak dicapai, I think really we just adjust again. And I've seen that of many, of both of you. I constantly have to remind myself that everybody deserves support, deserves sokongan, and that is life. So we adjust. We adjust. I'll give you a example. We have to get some new clothes because of a family wedding. And this is what Joshua said to me on the shopping trip. I have to face the music. I will just get on with it. Sebenarnya, I recognize that it is socially still at this point not something that he enjoys to go to a shopping mall. And I start to again recognize I need to start to adjust my expectation, because as Joshua knows, Mama will go and say, I will go to 2 shops and end up going to 4.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, again, what happened was I had to start to listen to him. And he says, Mom, I'm going to my shopping, I can't remember the word he used, but basically he was telling me is running out.
The battery.
The battery. Shopping battery. So he said, Mom, my shopping battery is out. And so what I'm saying is, if we constantly continue to adjust.
By the way, you can do online shopping these days.
And you know what? Mama don't like online shopping, but that's what thank you for reminding me. So I then recognized Joshua's pressure, right? He wanted to please Mama. He knew he had to be responsible to get his attire. But then it pin drop and say, why don't we do online shopping? That's how slow Mama is. So thank you for that reminder. And indeed, so the final discussion was, let's try online shopping more.
Right. Yeah. So even for things like that now, kita dah ada pilihan. Kerana teknologi, kemudahan yang baru. So the world is also changing dan ada ramai seperti kami di Kita Family yang memang sedang memperjuangkan untuk mendapat sokongan tambahan untuk anak-anak kita. I mean, so this is where we've come from, right? Both Desiree and Didi are very good at saying this, It's not just my kids need to be able to live in this world. The world needs to be prepared to then accept my kid also, right? It has to be a two-way thing. And I think I just feel more and more that really it's the world I want to change. Yeah, I think my kid has been trying so hard. Sebab dia apa-apa yang dia kena hadapi ni semua ni, and then kalau dia menghadapi kesukaran ke apa, ni bukan pilihan dia. Dia bukan saja-saja sebab dia tak berapa suka ke apa. Sebab benda ni memang betul-betul sesuatu yang amat sukar untuk dia. Dia memang satu cabaran yang susah nak diatasi. And then, but I have, macam ada, memaksa dia untuk buat benda-benda tu. Bukan nak kata, okay, I think I want to clarify. Bukan nak kata, I don't believe there's no place for tough love.
Yes.
There is, okay? Sebab we also want to build things like
resilience.
Great resilience, all that, ketahanan diri, kekuatan, flexibility, benda-benda seperti ni. Tapi, do you have to have tough love every day? No.
When you're about to hurt yourself, tough love is necessary. Because sometimes they don't see the cause and effect.
Yeah, but that's occasionally.
Yeah.
Kan? But it's like, maybe pada satu masa tu, mengharapkan dia pergi ke satu sekolah inklusif tapi yang besar, yang, all this kind of thing. Dengan, tak tahulah harapan untuk dia, kononnya mengalami hidup yang lebih normal ke, lebih sama dengan kanak-kanak lain. Tapi kalau benda tu dah tak sesuai untuk dia dan akan menjejaskan kesihatan emosi, mental, semua ni. I mean, really, we have to rethink all that, right?
Yeah.
Just
so perjuangannya sebenarnya is for us to continue to educate so that perjuangannya memang to be more inclusive. That the adjustment is not dari anak-anak dan family yang neurodiverse, not only the individual is neurodiverse or the family. Sebenarnya perjuangan kami perlu to embrace, to invite the other stakeholders lah, right? Whether it's the education system, some other employer, all the stakeholders, so that they understand. Yeah, I still love that 4A. I will always go back and reference the 4A. Bila sudah aware, then only we will accept. Tapi accept pun not really sampai tahap appreciate that that's all they are able to do, that's their ability. We appreciate you for up to tahap itu. Then we all act together. It really, really I'm constantly reminded, perjuangan kami ialah untuk community yang inklusif.
Ya, betul. So, bila kita kata inklusif, kita menyebut tentang peluang dan hak, right? So I think this is where this thing comes in. Dan kita tahu dari segi cerita-cerita, tapi ada juga kajian, dan antara kita pun kita tak persoalkan benda ni, bahawa anak-anak kita yang neurodivergent, yang ada yang ada condition lain lah, OKU juga semua, kurang diberi peluang untuk buat pilihan.
Ya,
right?
betul.
Sebab kita kadang-kadang atas dasar nak membantu, nak melindung. So one of the things that we stop doing, or we don't even think about doing, is the right for them to choose. And something, when you choose, and you're going to make a mistake, but that is life.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought it up, Nuri.
Yeah.
As my two boys, but kalau kami referencekan Joshua, I now hear that he wants to make that choice. And we often forget that dia ada hak untuk memilih
memilih
everything.
apa-apalah.
Apa-apa. Dari kesian makanan ke, tempat yang dikunjungi ke, kawan-kawan yang
exactly. Semakin dia menjadi dewasa, dan memanglah dia akan ada pilihan tu.
Apa
kalau
yang
kita
dia nak belajar, apa dia tak nak belajar, di mana dia nak pergi.
But
dan
we stop from allowing, I guess, our neurodivergent children that range of choice, kan?
And the danger is the parents, because of fear, yang apa yang kami tak dapat anticipate, so that's the fear. We
Memang kita
underestimate. Kami memang takut. We underestimate kebolehan dia.
Actually that is very true. Sebab saya, as much as college tu memang menjadi suka bagi Nirav atas dasar akademik juga, sebab dia kurang tahu bagaimana untuk ask for help. So satu skill yang saya asyik cakap dengan dia is, Nirav, if you need help, you ask for help. Dengan cikgu ke, dengan kawan ke, you kena, the same way we talk about self-advocacy, you have to advocate for yourself. Apa yang
bersuara
you tahu,
lah, kan?
Bersuara, apa yang you tahu, apa yang you tak tahu. And the most surprising thing for me was last week, we had gone out because we dropped adik untuk taekwondo, dan hari tu dia ikut saya untuk buat groceries, dan ada masa 1 jam. So I tanya dia, what would you like to do? I'd like to have dim sum. Right? But we are in this place. There are shops, but I don't know whether there is a dim sum place. Tahu tak dia buat apa? Dia pergi kepada security guard terus, excuse me, is there a dim sum place here? Kesian security guard Bangla tu memang tak faham dalam pelat bahasa dia. He asked.
You taught him and he
daripada Bangladesh, and then dia tak okay. Lepas tu
and the security guard, you go there. Kesian security guard tu, dia nak pergi sana. I said, Nirav, did you get your answer? Tapi dia, sebab guard tu suruh pergi sana, dia nak ikut je. I said, did you get your answer? He said, go there. But does he know the restaurant? Does he know where it is? Why don't you whip up your phone? Why don't you ask Google? Ni lah mak yang kena ajar step by step. Then, bila aja, it's not in this building. It's a 3 minutes drive away. Okay, what can we do? Okay, can we drive there? Will we make it back in time? And I was like, if it's a 3-minute drive, we will. So, then kita membuat keputusan untuk, bawa semua barang masuk dalam kereta, pergi
tempat makan ni lah.
Tempat makan ni. And lepas tu, dia nak order ni. Tapi dia cakap, I don't want to overeat. Sebab dia pernah rasa, bila dia overeat, dia rasa nak muntah, sampai tak boleh tidur, sampai tak selesa. So sekarang dia akan control sendiri. Sebab dia tak nak rasa terlalu kenyang. So dia order, dia buat apa, lepas tu dia tanya balik, should we pack this for Tarish? Because he likes it. So dia order, and lepas tu bawa balik, and what about this? So I had to remind him, masa kita ni singkat. I told you we only have 1 hour. And if we exceed it, we're going to be late to pick him up. Oh, okay. Tapi perlu peringatan tu. But I was just quite amazed that he went to ask a security guard, because I think dia dah biasa sekarang untuk tanya soalan. Tapi sama ada dia dapat jawapan yang betul, itu is a risk that we all take, whether we are neurotypical or neurodivergent, and we need to be able to understand. Whereas maybe a neurotypical person, especially a teen or a late teen, will not ask a security guard or anybody else. They will ask their phone.
No, but the point is, you're sharing this with us because the point is, just let him lah.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And sometimes it's not the best choice.
Yeah. But you let him make it.
Yeah. And also you were still there. So ini bukan macam kita lepaskan dia je untuk mengambil keputusan sendiri, dan kalau benda-benda tu memang out lah, silap, bukannya kita tak ada untuk membantu dia, kan? But at least give him a choice lah. So are you saying before mungkin kita tak memberi dia pilihan?
I think it's the whole concept of dia perlu berdikari untuk sampai ke college, dan kalau sesat tu dia perlu tanya seseorang mana nak pergi. I think that's a good thing, because he's also travelled a bit this year, and each time during the travels he's learned that you have to ask. And he's been given
Anybody
options.
has to ask pun. It's not
Anybody
just
has to
because
ask.
you are, autistic and you don't know certain things. But I think especially when you are not in a familiar place, semua orang kan perlu bertanya.
When you
kan?
bertanya.
Malu bertanya sesat jalan. Hello.
And we always know you learn best from mistakes, kan?
Yes.
So what more when you are around to support that, so he can learn how to respond and not react.
Jadi pengajarannya, berilah peluang kepada anak kita untuk membuat kesilapan juga.
Betul.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what other people think. Yeah. I want to tell that story, if I may have told this. Nori, if you remember Mr. Michael Kali in 2018, who is a high ability
Autistic adult.
Author. Yes, he's a journalist.
Yes.
That's the level of ability.
Yeah,
So
diplomat.
what he shared was how he learned social skill is when he travels to another country where if he make a mistake, it's okay. Right? Because he is foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned a lot from that episode of his sharing, because it means just make mistake and be bold. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. You will recover.
That's so true. Sebab kita tak segan, sebab we are there and we need to get somewhere. Kita akan tanya sampai dapat, walaupun we sesat jalan ke apa, U-turn. But yes, we do.
Yeah.
And I think that is
It's okay.
so poignant, because if you can be that bold in another man's land.
And actually, one of is a top skill to have our neurodivergent individuals learn to ask. As simple as it may seem, it is so important.
No, it's huge. It's huge. My son can't really ask questions well. It's big. So actually kalau kita fikirkan balik, kenapa lah kita sibuk sangat dulu nak suruh dia mengira? Balhal boleh je gunakan telefon dengan komputer untuk mengira. Kan? Nak menulis, nak mengeja, all this kind of thing. I mean, we were so stuck in a lot of old thinking and the, importance of the academic part. Yelah, bukan nak kata tak penting langsung. But again, kita dah ada penyesuaian, perubahan telah berlaku. Tak macam dulu. Mungkin sangat penting untuk kita tahu bagaimana nak mengeja. Sekarang ni boleh je check. So it's not as important as it
speech to
used to
text,
be, right?
text to speech.
Yeah.
Not just that. It used to be so important to have the ability to write paragraphs. Sekarang key into ChatGPT and they write for you. You edit it, and like Nirav will tell me, I just need to find synonyms supaya jadi original.
Yeah.
So actually,
exactly.
I know there will be many questions from the audience. My son, my child cannot ChatGPT. But let's try which level, tahap mana yang kami boleh gunakan teknologi untuk membantu komunikasi. So the asking, for example, it could be just to teach them a phone and say, ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, mengikut tahap masing-masing lah kan. Ya, mungkin kita rasa yang non-speaking, non-verbal lebih susah untuk kita nak dapat tahu apa pandangan dia, apa perasaan dia, things like that. Tapi ini bukan bermakna dia tak ada pandangan, dia tak ada perasaan tau.
Betul.
So
Absolutely.
we could have invested more time to just find out what is going on, Dan berilah pilihan macam cara kita dengan anak-anak kecil juga. Pada tahap-tahap tertentu kita akan beri pilihan lah of certain things. Mungkin tak bagi semua pilihan, right? But I mean, you take it as it goes. But you need to give this measure of choice, and you need to, I think sometimes keberanian tu diperlukan pada diri kita sebagai ibu bapa atau penjaga.
Kena
Bukan anak
contohkan.
kita yang tak. Exactly.
dulu.
And then kalau kita nak anak kita berani, mestilah kita menjadi contoh dulu. So kalau kita sendiri pun takut, anak kita belajar apa? So it's a lot.
It was another
So this is a big
reminder to
thing.
me at the weekend, sebab kita pergi mall kan, sebab cuti sekolah. Ada banyak like the center court was full of buzzing of activities, and one of it had Thomas the Tank Engine. And see this 19-year-old so excited about the sign of Knapford Station and Thomas the Tank Engine, and suddenly go, was that my favorite? I think it was. To control the urge of him running into it to say, you are now almost 5 feet 11 inches tall, and if you run in, the kids are going to get scared, was an overwhelming urge. Sampai I nak buat, tetapi tiba-tiba I cakap, okay, if this morning he could ask a question, I think if I instruct, I can let him do this. And all I said is, be careful, don't scare the children.
Yeah, but you let him go and see his Thomas Tank Engine.
But I let him go.
Yeah. Look, you should, because we know adults collect toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Miniatures that cost a lot of money.
Betul. Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
Right? So that's why again that, so many things lah. Okay, as we finish up, okay, what did we remind ourselves and what did we learn today? It's like, really think about the priorities of the kind of skills that we want our kids to have. What is our expectation? Yeah. Why do we think so much about what other people think? What other people feel and care about? Okay. How is it that we are preparing our children? And kita prepare untuk apa sebenarnya? And also this, whole concept of how every person deserves, measure of choices in their life. They should have choice. They should have, meaningful, purposeful life includes choice. So a lot, right? There's big reminders for, definitely for me personally. And so I hope this is something for the audience to think about. Fikirkanlah, ialah kita orang di Malaysia ni masih, I think memegang kepada pemikiran tertentu, tentang, kepentingan akademik, that kind of thing. Kepentingan untuk, semua orang kena fit in. So if again, and then back to what we are always working for, a more inclusive world, then all these other things, are
life journey.
Life journey, and it'll be okay, right? We can do this for our kids and for ourselves, actually. Okay, big-ish episode. Terima kasih Ani, terima kasih Kakak SK. So seperti biasa di penghujung episod, kami meminta siapa-siapa nak bagi feedback, boleh saja hubungi kami di semua platform social media. Kami bukan saja di YouTube dan Spotify, tapi ada juga Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Please comment. We love getting your comments. Dan antara, komen ini ada peranan bagi kita sebab kadang-kadang kita memilih topik untuk kita family berdasarkan feedback. So please leave a comment, and of course if this was helpful for you, seperti biasa memanglah kita nak minta orang like, share, subscribe, or maybe send us a DM or something like that, and then we hope to catch you insyaAllah for episode 64 next time. Bye for now. Assalamualaikum.
Bye.